Hello, everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're unpacking something really fascinating. It sits right at the crossroads of global real estate, international law, and, well, emerging economies. We're talking about foreign ownership of land in Rwanda, and we've gathered quite a bit of information to help guide us through it. So if you've ever been curious about investing overseas, maybe even thought about finding a new place to call home somewhere different, or maybe you just wonder how land ownership actually works across borders, then this deep dive is definitely for you. Our goal here is really to cut through any confusion, lay out the actual steps or requirements, and maybe reveal the surprising clarity around buying property in Rwanda. It's developing incredibly fast.
It really is. And what's genuinely striking, I think, is how Rwanda has deliberately woven technology into its public services. It's not just a minor tweak. It actually makes processes like land transactions much, much simpler. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, Rwanda's stability, its solid economic growth, really efficient governance, it just makes it more and more attractive for foreign investors. Plus, it's all backed by these transparent land laws. They're designed very carefully to protect everyone involved, locals and international buyers.
Okay, so let's tackle that first big question people often have, the thing that might put potential investors off. How complicated is this whole process? Buying land in Rwanda as a foreigner, our sources suggest it's, well, surprisingly straightforward, as long as you stick to the government's procedures, obviously. And these are specifically laid out in the ministerial instructions, the ones about how foreigners can possess residential land.
Exactly. And that clarity is it's pivotal. It shows a really proactive approach from the Ministry of Environment. They've set up a clear legal framework, and that gives international buyers a lot of confidence. They know what to expect. Plus, it makes sure everything stays compliant with Rwandan land law. It's really about building trust through transparency.
Right. So for anyone wondering how exactly you can own land there, Rwanda offers a couple of distinct ways, doesn't it? What are those main routes for foreigners?
Sure. So the main ways are, first, something called an emphyteutic lease. Think of it as a very long-term lease. It gives foreigners secure, extended rights to use and develop land, specifically for a residential house, for a really long time, decades, usually.
Yeah.
It's a very secure way to hold property, almost like owning the rights for, well, a very extended period. Then, second, there's direct ownership. This means a foreigner can actually own a plot outright, specifically for a single-family home in designated residential zones. Of course, you need to meet the size standards and regulations for that plot.
Okay, that definitely offers some flexibility. What about things like condos or apartments? Are those handled differently?
No, it's similar. Foreigners can also own individual units within condominium buildings, which are, becoming increasingly popular, particularly in cities like Kigali.
Makes sense. Now, whenever land ownership comes up, the next questions are almost always about limits. Size limits, investment angles. So what does this mean if you're picturing your dream plot? Or maybe something, bigger, like for a business idea? Well, the guidance we looked at is pretty specific on size. There's a limit. Foreigners can typically own a maximum of 300 square meters for residential use. That's generally seen as the standard size for one residential plot. Though it's always a good idea to double-check the exact dimensions with the local land offices. There can sometimes be slight regional differences, minor ones, but still.
And that limit, the 300 square meters, it isn't just a random number. It seems like a strategic choice, really. It balances allowing foreigners to own homes with broader land management goals. It helps keep land available and, reasonably affordable for local citizens, too, while still welcoming foreign residents. It's quite a balanced approach.
But okay, what if 300 square meters isn't enough? Or what if you want several plots? Maybe you do have a bigger project in mind, something commercial.
Right. That's where a different mechanism kicks in. If a foreigner needs more than 300 square meters or wants multiple plots, especially if it's for investment, then they need to apply for an investment certificate. This comes from the Rwanda Development Board, the RDB. They're the main agency for investment promotion, and that application, it's pretty thorough. You need a detailed business plan showing what the investment is, how it benefits Rwanda, and yes, that applies to condos too. If you want to own more than one unit, that usually needs investment plan approval as well, just like needing a larger plot of land. If you think about the bigger picture again, it makes sense. It ensures larger land holdings are tied to real economic activity, things that create jobs, contribute to development.
Got it. So let's say you found a property. You understand the ownership breadth, the size limits. What's the actual step-by-step? How do you make the transfer official? What paperwork is involved? Okay. The process needs a few key things. Documents, mainly. You'll need the seller's ID, their national ID or passport. Your ID or passport as the buyer. The original land title deed. That's crucial. A notarized sale agreement. basically the signed contract. And, simple enough, valid contact details for everyone. Phone number, email, right? Standard stuff. And what about the costs? The official fees? Is paying them a hassle?
Not really, no. The official land transfer fee is, well, quite reasonable, actually. It's 25,000 Rwandan francs, which works out to roughly 25 US dollars, give or take a little with the exchange rate. And paying it is super convenient. You do it through Irembo. That's Rwanda's integrated online platform for all sorts of public services, payments, registrations. It really highlights their digital approach.
Rembo, okay.
And what's honestly pretty amazing here is just how efficient it is. Once you start the transfer process, it typically takes only about 7 days to get the land title issued in the buyer's name. 7 days.
Yeah.
And get this, the final title. You can often just download it online once it's ready.
Wow. 7 days and downloadable.
Yeah.
That's incredibly quick.
It really is. It's a level of speed and digital integration that's frankly exceptional anywhere.
Okay, so even with that impressive speed, are there any common snags, things foreigners should still watch out for despite the system being smooth? Or maybe misconceptions people bring?
That's a really good point. And it highlights why a couple of recommendations are so important. First, and this is true anywhere, really due diligence. It's absolutely vital. Even with good digital records, before you buy, you must investigate the title thoroughly. Make sure it's clean. No disputes, no hidden claims like liens or mortgages you didn't know about. Using trusted local professionals, maybe a surveyor or legal expert, to verify everything. Highly recommended. It's just smart protection for your investment. Second, definitely get legal help. Talk to a local real estate lawyer or a good law firm there. It's crucial. They can help draft and notarize the sale agreement correctly, make sure you're ticking all the regulatory boxes, and they can follow up with the authorities on the transfer process itself. It's not just about red tape. It's about securing your rights and having peace of mind down the road.
Makes total sense. And finally, anything else? Local quirks, maybe. Things that aren't in the main national laws.
Yes, that's the third point. While the national laws apply everywhere, you need to understand any regional variations. Some local districts might have slightly different requirements or things to consider, maybe related to local zoning or specific development plans for that area. The best way. Visit the local land center or the district office. They can give you the precise details for that specific location. Always best to check locally.
Okay, so let's sort of wrap this up. To recap, buying land in Rwanda as a foreigner. It really does seem to be a surprisingly straightforward process. It's built on a foundation of clear laws and a real commitment to being transparent. Whether you're looking at those long-term leases or direct ownership, the rules around size and the path for bigger investments, they're all quite well defined.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear that Rwanda's stability, its growing economy, and especially its embrace of technology, that Irembo platform sounds amazing. It all creates a landscape that's genuinely attractive and, relatively speaking, simple for foreign investors. The key thing, though, like any big purchase anywhere, is you've got to follow the rules, stick to that legal framework, and definitely get professional advice.
Absolutely. And, seeing Rwanda's proactive stance on governance and tech like this, it really does make you wonder, doesn't it? Which other countries might follow suit? Imagine if this kind of transparent, efficient, yet secure system for land ownership became more common globally. Thinking about Rwanda's system specifically, what strikes you as the most maybe surprising or reassuring part of it all?